Hello there, and welcome back. Today, I thought we might make something a little bit simpler. It's a side dish that I am a huge fan of, and it only requires 4 ingredients. Some honey, a little balsamic vinegar, some portabella mushrooms, and a bell pepper. Now I've got to come clean. I stole this recipe from some friends of mine. They made it one time when I was cooking with them, and it was so good. I started cooking it at home, and I do it all the time now. If you guys are out there watching this, thank you so much. Everyone's going to enjoy it. I'm going to start off with some portabella mushrooms. You can use other mushrooms. I suggest you don't get really expensive ones because they're going to soak up everything in the pan, and it's going to taste more like that than it does the mushrooms. So if you get really expensive ones, you're probably not going to be able to enjoy the flavor like you should with an expensive mushroom. I'm going to start off just by removing these stems, moving these as careful as I can, and then just cut them in half and then kind of julienne them down the side. Now these mushrooms are pre-washed, so I don't need to worry about that, but if you are going to wash your mushrooms, they soak up moisture like crazy. So make sure you dry them off very quickly after you wash them, and only wash them with cold water. Simple as that. We've got some little kind of bite-sized pieces. I'm going to put them in a bowl. So I've got a nice red bell pepper. I'm just going to cut that up and get it in a nice strip and julienne it. This top part is still great, so I'm going to make sure I keep that as well. And just be careful not to get any of that green stem on it. I'm going to cut these into slightly smaller pieces. Put them in my bowl. Cut that bottom up. My camera shut off, so you didn't get to see me julienne the pepper. Not hard. You just want to make sure that you lay the pepper skin side down so that you're not meeting resistance with your knife as you go along, and then just be careful as you're going along and cutting your pepper. Alright, so we have kind of a small mixing bowl. I've got about a cup of balsamic vinegar and about 3 tablespoons of honey. All I've got to do is dump in my balsamic vinegar, dump in my honey, and I'm going to give that a little whisk just to combine everything. It isn't feeling sticky on the bottom anymore, so I know it's about ready. I'll set it aside. We're going to get cooking. We're going to go ahead and put this to about a medium heat, and I know it's sad, but there's no bacon grease that's required in this dish. We don't need to wait for this pan to come up to temperature before we add our balsamic and our honey. We can just go ahead and do it now. And then I'm just going to wait a little bit for this to get warm before we add the pepper and mushroom. The pan is getting a little bit of steam on it, so I'm going to go ahead and add my pepper and mushroom now. Go ahead and give that a little stir. Make sure everything is touching that balsamic. And now we just kind of play the waiting game. Cooking doesn't have to be hard or stressful. Just find something you want to make and give it a try. And if you mess it up the first time, try it again. Just keep trying it until you finally get the hang of it. And at that point, you'll have learned all the ways not to make it. I've got everything in the pan. It's about as evenly dispersed as it's going to be for right now. So now I'm just going to let this come up to temperature and stir it occasionally and let everything do its thing. It's starting to simmer a little bit, and as it gets more vigorous, I'm going to have to stir occasionally to make sure that everything gets a nice even coating. I like this dish because you don't have to fuss with it a lot. You can basically just put it all in here and let it go while you're cooking the rest of dinner, and have this as a nice, delicious side without putting in a ton of effort. It's at a nice simmer now, So I'm just going to stir it occasionally and let it do its thing. It's going to start simmering more vigorously and foaming. The more moisture that's being cooked out of the vinegar and all the peppers and everything else, the rougher it's going to get. And when it starts to get really violent, it's probably about time to stop it, or you're going to burn the sugars that are in there. You can add other flavors to this dish if you like. You can put garlic in there, some thyme or rosemary, whatever you think might make it taste better, but I'd make it this way first and then decide later on what you would want to add to it and how much. It's been about 20 minutes. I can tell by how vigorously it's bubbling that all my sugars are caramelized. So I'm going to take it off the heat, let it cool down, and have all that turn into a glaze, and then mix it all together, and we'll be ready to go. It's not much to look at, but I'm telling you, if you pair this with the right main dish, it is absolutely delicious. And if it's bad for the heart, it's good for the soul. I'll see you all in the next one.